Hello, everyone. It is Pat, and I'm back on with some Oracle card reading and messages for this week coming up. It's Thanksgiving week here in the United States. Um, Today, I believe, is the 21st. So we're going right on up through, the weekend and everything, and just seeing what's going on this week. There's a lot going on in our world. So, and this week, it feels to me as a week where there's a lot of processing going on, emotional processing. So I've got the Archangel cards that I've picked out for this week, or that came out for us this week when I asked. And the first one that came out was Archangel Metatron working with us with this message of chakra clearing. And, for those of you who are into energies and who are intuitives, you're familiar with the chakras, the energy centers that we have at our body. There's one at the top of our head, right here at our third eye, our throat, our heart, our solar plexus, etc. And there's more than that. But anyways, I feel this card is letting us, first of all, it says clearing. Some of us are doing chakra clearing, and there's ways to do that if you're not familiar with it, with chakra meditations, and I'm sure you can find some online if you Google them. But I also just feel like we are in our own way clearing out. There's energy shifts going on, and we're clearing out things, issues from our chakra energy centers. And this sometimes comes up as the processing of emotions related to that chakra. So, or that energy center. If you're processing stuff through your heart, it's very emotional, and, you might feel senses of loss there. If you're having issues of, financial or other types of security, you're processing issues in your, and clearing out issues from your root chakra, etc. But it's, if you've been drawn into that, or if you're in that space where you feel like you have a lot of issues coming up, know that you're processing and clearing these things out, and take the time to process it. That's why I feel like this week is sort of a week where there's a lot of processing going on. The other archangel that came out for us is Raphael, the healing angel, with the message of breathe. It's time to just stop and take a deep breath, especially when you're processing a lot of emotional energy. Okay. When we pull cards, oracle cards, they can have layers of meaning. They can have very simple, straightforward meanings. They can also have deeper meanings. And with Raphael's message, one, if you are processing, if you feel a lot of deep emotions come up, it's just good to sit with it and focus on your breath. In a general way, it may be just time to take a breather. As we come upon Thanksgiving with this pandemic around, with the advisements that have been put out there about having smaller gatherings, it's a different type of Thanksgiving than what we've been accustomed to, or what you may have been accustomed to in the past. We have to change it up a bit because of the circumstances we find ourselves in. We need to make adaptations to this change these conditions that have been imposed upon us, or that are in our life and our world right now. And so, maybe one of the ways we just have to kind of stop and breathe and rethink things. Or, if you don't have to make a big, Thanksgiving preparation for big family as you have in the past, maybe it's just time for you to take a breather. You can just take the day off and enjoy some time off. Time to just breathe. And, certainly it speaks to the fact that, with COVID, part of the issue is that it is focused it's a virus that focuses on the lungs, and people have trouble breathing. And so, that is certainly speaks to that. Raphael is working with people to help heal their breathing issues. But, in a very metaphorical way, it's also about giving yourself room to breathe. Okay. If you're feeling restricted, with all of our mask wearing that we have to do, for those in the medical profession, they have to wear them on a much more regular basis than those of us in the general public. We kind of got thrown into it with the onset of COVID. But, so sometimes we need to take some time out and give ourselves room to breathe. And metaphorically as well as literally physically, okay? And but room to breathe in the sense of if you've got a lot of things weighing on your mind, then you need to give yourself some time out, some room to breathe. If there's a lot on your plate, et cetera, et cetera. So these are the archangels that are working with us. Metatron is an angel of, he works a lot with our intellect as well as our physical energies, and what they call the Merkaba. But he can help you prioritize, to get organized around your priorities. And Raphael, from a health perspective, as well as metaphorically, he can help you find room to breathe, okay? If you're feeling pressured. So for the messages for the week, I pulled from the Colette Baron-Reid's Wisdom of the Oracle. I hadn't used that in a while, okay? And so I pulled out 4 cards because I wanted to see. I got to 3 and I just felt like it needed a 4th. So we started out with higher power. So, people are reaching out to their higher power. Even if you can't get to your church or your synagogue, we're reaching out through prayer. We're praying for others. We're praying for ourselves. But we're also, and it's a reminder to do so. But, your angels and guides are closer around, and people are praying and reaching out to their higher power for help, for advisement, for guidance. People are reaching out for spiritual understanding. And it's a reminder to, remember that connection that you have. Even if you can't get to your church or your synagogue or your temple, that you still have that power within you. When you sit and breathe, okay, and you focus on your breath and you quiet your mind, you connect with your higher power, okay, with God, with the angels, whoever you conceive of that to be, okay? And it's about calling on that for help in these, in these kinds of times, because the next card that's come out with us is this one, Orphaned. And this card has to do, I feel this week, we're processing a sense of loss. There's been a lot of people who have died, who have passed on, not just from, the virus. And I know there's a lot of people out there who still question whether it's, a hoax or something like that. I personally am not of that belief. I do believe it's very real. Viruses do happen, et cetera, et cetera. But even outside of there being a virus right now, there are people who have lost loved ones to other things, the normal things that, whether it be cancer, a heart attack, a stroke, or some other malady, some other health issue. There's people who have lost loved ones, and they're going through these holidays for the first time without that person. And it's a modified holiday, so they can't get to see everybody. They have to see maybe their grandparents or their kids or their grandkids through Zoom, and it's just a different world. And when collectively, a lot of people are just processing a sense of loss. I know the card says orphan, but that's what the essential meaning of the card is. It's it's feeling a sense of loss and confusion, and a lot of uncertainty that's around right now, okay? Now, the card that's right along with that is this Round and Round. And when I looked at that, I felt like it was a reminder from Spirit that, what we're in now is a cycle, okay? Round and Round is about, when you find yourself kind of back in the same place, or it also, to me, speaks to just cycles. I mean, right now, in this year, we're in a cycle where a lot of things have come to an end. And life is about endings and beginnings, death and rebirth, okay? And I feel like it's a reminder from them that, next year at this time, we will be in a much better space. 2020 has been a rough year. And in the decades of life that we've lived, or, you might not have lived decades yet, but as you go through life and you live through decades, you realize there are, cycles of times when you've gone through really tough times, times when you processed your own loss, and then you come out of it again, and there's new hope and new beginnings. And so this is a reminder that's part of what's going on. You also may be in your own mind, in your uncertainty and confusion. You might just find that there's things going round and round in your own mind, and you can't come to any resolution. You just keep replaying the same, how am I going to take care of this? How are we going to look at that? Or if we do this, then that would happen. And how do we resolve this? And you keep going through it in your mind, trying to resolve it. And, I'm sure that's another reason why Raphael's message of breathe is in here, because sometimes, when there is uncertainty going on and we are in, difficult times like this, we can't always see the answer. We can't always see how it's going to play out. And it can be really difficult to be present with uncertainty in that feeling. And but it's a reminder to take a step back and breathe and just try to, as much as you can, be present in the moment and taking one step at a time, one day at a time, okay? Because the next card that came out is Change in the Wind. All right. And it's a reminder that things will pick up and move forward again. The energies will pick up and move forward. Right now, at least it looks like this week, the energies are around. We're connecting with our higher power, God, Jesus, the saints, whoever you feel most aligned with. And maybe it's just that higher aspect of yourself, that power greater than yourself. Maybe that's how you think of it. We're processing feelings of loss or deep emotion. There's a lot of confusion around, and we might be processing that and on many levels, okay? Where do we go with our life from here if you've suffered a lot of loss? Not just, loss in terms of loss of someone you love, but you might have lost your employment, or something along those lines. But change is in the wind, okay? Changes are coming, positive changes, and there is light at the end of the tunnel, I want to say. I'm going to look at this quickly, the change in the wind in the book, if there's any other message around it. Sometimes the change in the wind, sometimes it can be preparation for, a storm or an unseen change that comes along. I feel it's positive for us this week. Let's see. Whatever is happening now, good will come from it. Take temporary shelter and remove yourself from any kind of dramas, okay? So, I have no doubt we'll see some more dramas playing out in the media with what's going on with our government and things of that nature. And sometimes when there's a change in the wind, even though it can ultimately be, good things will come of it, it can be rough when you're in it. You're still getting blown around. So take heart this week, okay? I know these messages seem a little bit on the heavy side, but that's why Raphael is here to remind us to breathe. Breathe your way through it, okay? And that breathing can also come in the form of, if you go out, you might just need to go out and take a walk, do a little bit of cardiovascular exercise, get your breath working for you, to help your body process this stuff. I did pull from the Akashic Tarot, and we got the message of birth. And let me just see what this is about. Yeah. A time for a new start. Yeah. Perhaps an actual birth, or at least a metaphorical one. Okay, so that relates to what I was talking about here with the change in the wind. The birth of new things is in the works, and that's always something to be positive and hopeful about. This picture is very lovely in the sense that the children are going into the field to meet with their mother or their guardian, and There's light coming in. So it's a reminder to look up and look up for the light and bring the light in with you as much as you can wherever you go when you take those times out to breathe. Okay. All right. Those are the messages that I get for this week. Thank you so much for joining me. And I look forward to speaking with you again soon, and have a happy and wonderful Thanksgiving, however you choose to celebrate it. I thank you for being part of my viewership. Love and appreciate all of you. So thank you so much. Take care, everyone.